Harry tells me you're quite the science whiz. You know, I'm something of a scientist myself.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 Spider-Man movie villain moments. For this list, we're looking at the most memorable moments involving Spider-Man's sinister foes in theatrically released films. Our spoiler sense is tingling. Who's your favorite Spider-Man villain? Let us know in the comments. Number 10. Mysterio's Illusion. Spider-Man Far From Home. Quentin Beck, aka Mysterio, is a master of deception. While every comic book fan knew that he would be the villain, his connection to Tony Stark caught most people off guard, including Peter.
I can't believe I gave Beck those glasses. I mean, how could I be that stupid? He's probably spying on me right now or sending a drone to come and kill me.
Even after Peter learns his true nature, Mysterio isn't done playing mind games. Trapped inside an illusion, Peter never knows what awaits him around the corner, from a dog pile of Spider-Man doppelgangers to a zombie Iron Man rising from the grave. Although Peter knows this isn't real, it certainly feels real as MJ falls to her apparent doom. The mind-bending imagery has the essence of a comic brought to life, cleverly transitioning from one haunting visual to another.
Deep down, you know I'm right.
And just when it appears the nightmare is over, Mysterio has another trick up his sleeve. Number 9. Kingpin crushes a spider. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. If you thought Into the Spider-Verse would be a more kid-friendly take on the web-slinger, this Oscar-winning animated feature did something that none of the live-action films have done thus far: kill Peter Parker. Caught between Green Goblin and Kingpin's collider, Spider-Man is left on his last leg. Passing a USB flash drive and the torch to Miles Morales, Peter is now at Kingpin's mercy. Unmasked, Peter attempts to reason with the grief-stricken Kingpin, who responds with a soul-crushing blow.
I know what you're trying to do, and it won't work. They're gone.
Although we didn't know this Peter for long, we feel the weight as Kingpin slams his sledgehammer-sized fists down, ending the hero's life. Spider-Man's death echoes throughout New York, but the city fortunately has Miles and several more Spider people to clean up Kingpin's mess.
I'm the guy who's gonna turn it off, and I'm gonna get you all home before I do. Look, I made a promise, so I have to keep it.
Number 8. Meet the Vultures. Spider-Man Homecoming. In one of the MCU's best twists, it's revealed that Peter's homecoming date Liz is the daughter of Adrian Toomes, aka the Vulture.
He must be Peter.
Yeah.
I'm Liz's dad. Put her there.
What ensues walks a tightrope between something you might see in a sitcom and something you might see in a horror film. Meeting the parents can already be uncomfortable enough, but Peter fears for his life as he steps into the Vulture's nest.
You all right, Pete?
Yeah.
Because you look pale. You want something to drink, like a bourbon or a scotch or something like that?
I'm not old enough to drink.
It's the right answer.
Although Adrian initially doesn't realize that Peter is Spider-Man, he quickly connects the dots during a car ride that's equally awkward and terrifying. Peter may be Spider-Man, but he's also a teenager. We feel that youthful vulnerability as Adrian takes him aside, threatening to kill Peter and his loved ones.
And don't you ever interfere with my business again. Because if you do, I'll kill you and everybody you love. I'll kill you dead.
Honestly, Michael Keaton's Joker-like grin and intense eyes are creepier than the Vulture's mask. Number 7. Birth of Sandman. Spider-Man 3. Sam Raimi's horror roots shine through during Flint Marko's transformation into the Sandman. Granted, the scene isn't scary, but it carries a sense of poetic tragedy that you'd find in a classic work of gothic horror like Frankenstein or Phantom of the Opera. Relying on atmospheric CGI and Christopher Young's powerful musical score, we see Flint try to reassemble himself, one grain of sand at a time. While his face isn't the most expressive, we still feel Sandman's pain as he observes what he's become and attempts to grasp his daughter's locket. Flint's love for his daughter gives him the will to regain his human form, slowly emerging from the sand. He may technically be a villain, but we can't help but sympathize with Marco. Number 6. Green Goblin's True Colors. Spider-Man: No Way Home. Upon arriving in another universe, it appears Norman Osborn may have turned over a new leaf. The Goblin is still running the show, however, changing from Dr. Jekyll to Mr. Hyde with a sinister smirk. Almost 2 decades after he first donned the Goblin persona, Willem Dafoe doesn't miss a beat in a spine-chilling speech that brings Electro back to the dark side. As the other villains flee, Osborn and Peter turn the apartment building into a battlefield. While we have a soft spot for the Goblin's 2002 look, Osborn's hooded makeover is infinitely more menacing, as well as a nice nod to the comics. Dafoe's Goblin not only instills fear, but also unbearable sadness, as his actions leave Aunt May dying by Peter's side.
I can't save everyone.
Number 5. Mysterio reveals Peter's identity. Spider-Man: Far From Home. The first MCU movie ended with Tony Stark telling the world that he's Iron Man.
The truth is, I am Iron Man.
It's only fitting that the final film in the Infinity Saga would conclude with another character's secret identity being revealed. This mid-credits scene delivered a few bombshells. First, Mysterio recorded a message before his death, painting himself as a fallen hero and Spider-Man as a menace. Second, J. Jonah Jameson exists in the MCU, and he's played by the invaluable J.K. Simmons.
There you have it, folks. Conclusive proof that Spider-Man was responsible for the brutal murder of Mysterio.
Third, and most shocking of all, Mysterio reveals that mild-mannered Peter Parker is Night Monkey. We mean Spider-Man. Now that is how you do a cliffhanger.
Spider-Man's name is Peter Parker. What
The world may eventually forget Spider-Man's alter ego, but Mysterio's actions still send Peter on a dark path with lasting consequences. Number 4. Villains crash Aunt May's house. Spider-Man: Into the Spider-Verse. From Kingpin to Dr. Olivia Octavius, Into the Spider-Verse runs the risk of trying to juggle too many villains. Unlike some other Spider-Man movies, though, Spider-Verse knew how to properly utilize every character. Nowhere is this more apparent than during a face-off between the Spider-People and several villains.
Cute place. Real homey.
Oh, great, it's Liv.
I guess I was followed.
Oh, no. Get out of here, dude.
You messed up big time, kid. Very sloppy. What just arañitas?
Side note, Aunt May calls Doc Ock Liv. Does that make them friends? Or at least frenemies? In any case, Liv brought backup with Tombstone and Scorpion.
Do you mind taking this outside?
We don't pick the ballroom, we just dance.
The showdown is full of memorable confrontations, but the heart of the scene boils down to Miles and his uncle Aaron, whom he recently realized was Prowler. Upon seeing Miles' face, Aaron's love for his nephew trumps self-preservation.
Miles? Oh, no.
Aaron lets Miles go, sealing his fate at Kingpin's hands. Number 3. Tentacles attack Docs. Spider-Man 2. Following an accident that leaves his wife dead and his experiment in shambles, Octavius winds up on an operating table with his mechanical arms.
We won't know the extent of the damage until we get in there, so I suggest we cut off these mechanical arms, slice up the harness, and if need be, consider a laminectomy with posterior spinal fusion from C7T1 to T12.
Without the inhibitor chip, each tentacle essentially has a mind of its own. Springing to life, the arms attack the doctors in a scene reminiscent of Sam Raimi's Evil Dead trilogy. Sure, it's not nearly as bloody or gory as those films, but it is every bit as creative. Raimi even works in a chainsaw, which has gotta be a reference to Ash Williams. Despite maintaining a PG-13 rating, the scene still gets away with some twisted imagery. Although Octavius initially resists the negative influence of his arms, it isn't long until he's using them to battle Spider-Man aboard a train. Number 2, a sadistic choice, Spider-Man. Show of hands. How many of you associate Itsy Bitsy Spider with the Green Goblin?
The itsy bitsy spider went up the water spout. Down came the goblin and took the spider out.
Yeah, us too. Goblin's take on the nursery rhyme is just one of this climax's many unforgettable moments. Having learned Spider-Man's identity, Goblin gives him an impossible choice: save Mary Jane or a tramcar full of kids as they're all sent falling alongside the Queensboro Bridge.
We are who we choose to be. Now choose!
It's a classic supervillain setup, but Spidey manages to rescue all innocent parties with a little help from his fellow New Yorkers. The sequence is similar to Gwen Stacy's death in the comics, albeit with a different love interest and a happier ending. That said, when Gwen gets caught between Spidey and Gobby in another cinematic universe, she's sadly not as lucky.
Gwen? Hey.
Before we unveil our top pick, here are some honorable mentions. Mirror Goblin, Spider-Man. Again, sometimes Spider-Man villains are scarier without the mask.
Your greatest creation. Bringing you what you've always wanted. Power beyond your wildest dreams, and it's only the beginning.
Electro vs. Spider-Man, The Amazing Spider-Man 2. The motivations are kind of questionable, but the action is electrifying. Lizard School Fight, The Amazing Spider-Man, complete with one of Stan Lee's finest cameos. You and I are not so different. Spider-Man. We're so happy this has become a meme.
You and I are not so different.
I'm not like you. You're a murderer.
Well, to each his own.
Uncle Ben's death, Spider-Man and Spider-Man 3. An essential moment. But why didn't the cops tell Peter or May about Flint Marko?
Over here, Uncle Ben.
Peter.
Why weren't we told about this?
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. Multiple Spider-Man versus multiple villains. Spider-Man No Way Home. The climax of No Way Home is the very definition of sticking the landing. In addition to seeing 3 generations of Spider-Man fight side by side, several of the franchise's most iconic villains are unleashed in a storm of sand, scales, and electric shocks. Doc Ock is also given a chance to play the hero role in the final fight. While the Goblin nearly sends Peter over the edge and successfully stabs his friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, the Cure leaves Osborn to live with the horrible things he's done. After the previous 2 incarnations of Spider-Man ended on such sour notes, this sequence provided an immensely satisfying send-off for the heroes and villains alike. Of course, the MCU Spider-Man still has many more villains to face.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.